Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Hey, it's the Poet Life Podcast. It's Christoph Wrights, one half of the Poet Life Podcast. J-Rod D just had a newborn baby girl. So, yeah, clap it up for J-Rod D. J-Rod D, Father of the Year. So he's not on with us tonight, so I'm holding it down for him. But listen, man, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Pages Matam. What's going on, sir?
What up, man? It's good, man. Everything good, everything beautiful, man. How about yourself? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing quite well, man. I'm really excited to have you. I've been trying to get you on because
I know.
Yeah, because you got the information we need, man. This is what we're doing this for. We're not just talking, man. Listen, we're teaching over here. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Yeah.
And that's the only way forward. You know,
man, what you got going on, man?
Oh man, so I am. I've been doing a lot of work, transitioning mainly into like screenwriting. You know, for the past, you know, especially this year. It's been a few years now, but especially this year, and I've had a lot of some dope opportunities have come my way in that realm, and so. But writing is always, you know, the first love, you know. So I mean, it's always going to be present, whether I'm writing a poem or a script or, you know, I'm saying or whatever. Like it's always going to come through. So, got some projects in that direction. Definitely, I'm also writing a new series collection of poems. For sure, and I'm also I have my mind on a young adult novel situation.
Nice.
So you know what I'm saying? So just exercising the pen, man. I think that's been my biggest thing, you know what I'm saying, especially during this time of a pandemic and such, and you know, just being balanced enough to definitely be kind to myself, be kind to my body, my mind, and you know what I'm saying, and just like we are in unprecedented, very messed up times, you know what I'm saying? And so you don't have to do too much, you know what I'm saying? You don't gotta do too like, you know, cool. If you have the space, the capacity, the time to be able to get things done, then get things done. You feel me?
I love that.
But if you don't, like, you know what I'm saying, don't beat yourself up. Don't be too hard on yourself about that. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man. So I've been really diligent about that balance, you know what I'm saying, and using this time to really self-reflect on the things that are important to me. What is important to me, and what are these important things that are driving the way that I approach and engage with the world within me and the world around me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's been my biggest thing, man. Just like, I think just working on the self. I think that's my big project that I've been doing, working on the self. And that work on the self is manifesting in these other creative ways and things of that sort. So, I mean, I'm getting back to things that I used to do before it was just, you know, art became business, right? Like painting, but like painting for me. I'm getting back to writing. I'm redeveloping a relationship with my writing where I'm writing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not writing necessarily for, you know what I'm saying, to try to win the next competition or get the best poem for this, or writing a poem or something for a commercial or doing a conference. So I have to write this, that, and the third. Now I'm literally just like, I love writing. I love storytelling. I love every aspect of how that's built, whether on a page or on a stage, you know, whether behind the screen or in front of it. And so I'm redeveloping my relationship with that in this new way. That's really been awesome. It's been really awesome to do, and it comes with its own set of, you know, difficulties. It comes with its own set of, you know what I'm saying, of moments where you're like, man, why am I even doing this? Of moments of doubt, of moments of all of these things are still present. You know what I'm saying? But again, the approach is what's changed. You know what I'm saying? The approach and the reason for the approach is what's changing. And I'm really excited for this new journey that I'm on, man. I'm very excited for that. And there's lots of dope things to come.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And on that. And if dope things don't come and it's like, okay, then that's okay too, right? That's okay too. It's a sense of like, you know what I'm saying? I have nothing else to prove at this point. You know what I'm saying? I have nothing else to prove. Like if the good Lord was to come take me today, I can say that I've lived a full life. You know what I'm saying? There of course there's many more things I want to do.
Sure.
But I can say that I've lived like a life that I'm proud of. I can say that, and I can say that confidently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so this isn't about, I'm no longer in that phase of my art and building a career and business in this way where, so I don't have anything to prove. You know what I'm saying? I don't have anything to prove. And so I am now finding a new healthy relationship with myself. And that's then manifesting in all of the other things in my life. And that is a gift and a blessing that is immeasurable beyond words.
I like how you said that you're working on yourself, right? Because I think that's the key. You know, I think that's the definition of working smarter, not harder.
Not harder.
Yeah, because you know we hear that statement, that quote, that cliche, work smarter, not harder, but no one ever breaks it down and says what that means exactly.
Facts.
You know, and to me, working smarter really means to work harder on yourself. Because if you work harder on yourself, you work less on things, because now you're like, oh, okay, all I need to do, I just need to call Pages. I know he knows so and so. All I need to, you see what I'm saying? So instead of working harder and I need to do this, I need to do that. No. I can reach out to my resources because I've worked on my brain. I've read, I've watched YouTube videos, whatever it might be. And I kind of got the cheat codes. Yeah.
And it's funny because, you know what I'm saying, especially for us Black folk and maybe some other people of color, but getting into the territory of things that are not in proximity to whiteness. When you're not in proximity to whiteness, you're often being told that if you use the cheat code, then you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not working hard enough, you're But I'm like,
it's wisdom.
Y'all stay using the cheat codes all day, every day. That's literally how a lot of things got here, from the cheat code. You know what I'm saying?
That's why it's called the game of life.
The game of life. You know what I'm saying? So like an example I give of this. So like, you know, we were talking about there was a conversation on Twitter many weeks ago about Denzel Washington's son, how he would tell no one that he's Denzel Washington's son. He would tell no one because he didn't want to get things just because he's Denzel Washington's son, just because this, that, and the third. And I had to sit here and be like, why do we always do this to ourselves, particularly Black folk? Because our white counterparts, they be like, oh yeah, no, I know this dude. That's my man's. That's my man's. He put me on. Oh yeah, my dad is the CEO of this company. That's how I'm here. But then we want to be like, oh, I worked so hard. No, your dad owned the company that put you on. That's literally not the same. And so like, there's this psychology that's been embedded because of so many centuries of oppression and and being told, you know, how we have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard just to get half of the results. And I was sitting here reading this. I'm like, if I'm Denzel Washington's son, I'm not saying that I need everybody to know on some like ego and rah-rah type business, but nah, blood, like, yeah, what is the point of being Denzel Washington's son if I can't use it? What is the point?
Yeah.
What is the
Now,
point?
if I didn't have the skill set to back it up,
Exactly.
it'd be a different
It'll be
story.
a different story. Absolutely.
Because a lot of times our counterparts don't necessarily or can't necessarily back it up. They're just on the dad thing.
Right.
And,
Right.
and a lot of times the dad will say it, just give my son a job.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but Denzel's son can do it.
Can do it. That man can act his butt off. That man can act. He can deliver. He's very talented. Very, very talented.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was on a football scholarship because he was gonna play ball, and he's very good at that too.
And I get it. I mean, but we do it to ourselves though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think our value system sometimes is a little off kilter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We kind of got to get that in balance. Like my daughters, like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that they're set up.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And have them appreciate what I did.
Facts.
I literally was able to get my 5-year-old daughter on America's Got Talent just the other day.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's why not? Like
why not?
That's what you're supposed to do.
Why not? And that's why I don't like a lot of, there's all these conversations about like, often, I see on Twitter, Instagram, or even in real life where it's like, somebody will say, yeah, my parents, say got me this, that, and the third. They got me my first car. They got me my house and this, that, and the third. And then it automatically becomes this thing. Oh, you ain't work for nothing. You you this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, yeah. Like if I'm building an empire, a legacy, of course I'm going to teach my children the value of hard work and determination and character and integrity and all of these things. But if I got it, or my kids got it. If I got it, my kids got it. You know what I'm saying? No, my kid's not going to struggle. Why do we romanticize struggle so much? That you have to struggle in order to be legitimized as a person who did a thing.
You ain't come from the streets. You ain't.
Yeah, it's like, no. The struggle isn't fun. It's not fun to struggle. That's not okay. It's not fun to struggle at all. I don't like that. Why do we have to struggle in order to be valuable?
We've had to glamorize it because that's what we've had. But we're holding on to it for too long.
Too long.
All right. That was all right. The 80s, the 90s. All right. Okay, cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Funny. You know what I'm saying? And now that we have the internet and we can reach somebody in Africa and have this conversation just like this.
Yeah.
We gotta let that go, man. So this approach, talk to me about this approach that you've been now. Okay, so you have an approach. What was your approach initially, right? Has it evolved, your approach to your craft, your art?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved, and it's continuously evolved because the goals change, right? Because goals create intention. Right. Intention then builds your work ethic. You know what I'm saying? If you have a goal, you create an intention to reach that goal, and how do you reach that goal is what creates your work ethic.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? That's why success is one part, not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah. What we just talked about.
You know what we were just talking about. The other part is talent in some capacity. Sure. Yeah. There's talent involved. Sure.
Right.
And then there's a little bit of luck. and then there's a lot of bit of luck, to be honest.
Blessings, favor, luck.
Blessings, favor, whatever you want to call it. It's there. You know what I'm saying? And so my approach has continuously evolved based on what my goal was.
Yeah.
So my goal in the beginning was I want to be the best writer and performer. So I built everything that I did towards that goal.
Got it.
So that means studying poets, reading other poets, other writers, watching other poets and other writers and performers.
Our poets
learning
doing that.
You know what I'm saying? Learning about stage presence by watching comedians. That's really how I started really procuring my stage presence, by watching comedians.
That's the question.
They do the same thing we do.
Are poets studying?
Oh man, yeah. Not a lot of poets are studying.
Yeah, overall.
No, not a lot of poets are studying, because we have this belief that poetry is this intuitive thing.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me about my intuition and how I feel. And so I'm like, that's true. Sure, I give you that. I can. But I can tell you that the way you wrote about those feelings was poor.
Technique.
I can tell you that the techniques that you use, the skill set that you use to convey these ideas, these stories, these thoughts was poorly constructed, was not well executed, was not nuanced enough. And of course, the other flip side of that is the elitism, right? Because there's the ones who don't do the work, but then there are the ones that are so far removed because I have this achievement and I have 14 different degrees and 17 MFAs and this book award and that book award and blah, 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 that if you don't write like this or do this, that, then your work is not valuable. So there are extremes to both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, though, it's easier to remedy the elitism than it is to remedy the lack of craft and attention to the craft.
Yeah.
And
studying creates cheat codes.
Big facts.
The cheat codes are in books.
Big facts.
The cheat codes are watching other elite artists.
Absolutely. And it's beyond the. I think the biggest thing that it comes down to is, again, it's in the why. What's the goal, right? If your goal is, the thing is, I've told it to a lot of my students, and it's something that I also was taught by a mentor in the ways that, I've kind of progressed, that like a lot of people don't love poetry or the craft of poetry. You love self-expression. That's what you love. And because you love self-expression, and poetry tends to be the easiest way to garner love and appreciation and for affirmation. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's a series of affirmation. And the quickest way to get that is through this medium, because it's a medium that's often not relegated to bounds. There's not a lot of boundaries, and there's also doesn't exist a system of not a grading system. What's the term I'm looking for? There's not really a thing that exists that shows benchmarks that if you do this, and this, that makes you an elite person. Right? Because it's so open. It's not like basketball. Basketball, it's you make these many, if you make these many shots in a certain period of time, these many assists, these many rebounds, blah, 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 blah. We have active data that can be put into equations and systems that show that this person is an elite basketball player.
Yes.
That doesn't really exist in the realm of poetry.
Yeah.
In terms of a lot of artistic, because it's this thing like, oh, anybody can do it. It's anybody can do it. It's, what I'm saying, it's bless your heart. Oh, that's my baby. Look at how they writing this stuff and that, which is like cool in the beginnings for sure. You want to encourage people for sure, but there has to come a point where it's like, all right, what are you doing this for? If you're doing this just to get claps and somebody make you feel good, because it's easy for you. You can write something absolutely terrible and somebody will still clap for you. Or you can go to an open mic. Like, we have to understand like the dopamine effects that does, the psychology of all of this, right? Yeah. When there are literally spaces created where you can go for little money to big money, to go where people have paid money or have paid in some type of currency.
Yeah.
Some type of currency to watch you.
Yeah.
Simply that, to watch you and to clap for you when you're done.
Yep.
Unless you do something absolutely egregious that they don't clap for you. But other than that, you could be absolutely terrible and somebody would still go.
That's the difference. That's the difference between the poetry community and the poetry industry. And you have to determine which one you want to dwell in, right? Because that determines your goals.
Facts.
Right? Elitism isn't in the poetry community.
Right. It's in the industry, like any other industry.
Right. And self-expression, open mind, right? But the industry is okay. What you're doing, the commercials, the deals, the transactions, the networking, the setting of goals, the benchmarks, the milestones. Yeah.
That's so, and you have to approach that differently. You know what I'm saying? And that also depends on who you are and where you are in life. You know what I'm saying? Because with all of these decisions and series of negotiations that you have to make, there also exists the ethics of it all. Are you moving ethically in an ethical and morally responsible way? Are you, and as someone who is, you know, especially within the poetry community, as we say that everything is, it's community this, do this for the community, this, and a third. And how many times people don't show up for community because it is not something that that fuels their agenda. Because people are often ran by agendas. And when agendas don't get checked, when there are not systems of accountability put to be able to check these agendas or these things so that they make sure they don't run astray and run amok and cause problems.
Yeah.
Then you get these things. And so, like, I remember a thing that I'm gonna do an abbreviated censored version of what Will the Real One said. One time he said, you know, I'm not a poetry dude. I'm just a dude who happens to do poetry. And there is such a difference in that.
It is.
There's such a difference in that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and we have to be able to be real about, you know, how are we defining these spaces or allowing them to be defined, both within ourselves and then by the outside places, right? In the outside places. And so, yeah, man, that's how my approach continued to evolve in that way. Now, my approach is no longer about being the best writer and performer, because my approach is now built more so around community. I'm very invested around how I'm building community and how I'm in community with people that are about liberation. That's my biggest thing right now. It's liberation, man. We doing this liberation work and being ethically aligned in everything that I do. So, and how that then shows up in my art, in my professional relationships, my personal relationships, in the ways, I mean, even my relationship with money has changed. Right. And I will attribute that to COVID in a lot of ways. Right. And what COVID has done and the things that, I mean, I lost thousands of dollars due to COVID. The first 3 months, tens of thousands of dollars I lost. The first 3 months between March to April. I lost, a little over 30 grand, maybe closer to 40.
For canceled events,
gigs canceled, events, projects, all that. I've recouped some of it since, little here and there, but nothing like what it was before. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And so, you know, I've had to it's really given me an opportunity to really sit down and think about even what is my relationship with money, because that was my next goal. After it was the become the best writer performer you can be, now it's how can you make money with this? Now it was the monetizing goal. And that's operating from the place of capitalism, because we live in a capitalistic world. And so, and because of that, we run on, we got to get money so that we can pay bills or whatever, get out of the struggle or flex. Yeah, those are the only two. I'm trying to get up out the struggle or I'm trying to flex.
Yeah,
those are the things. And so when that goal happened, then I started moving towards that way and setting up myself and learning patterns, networking, and putting myself in positions to continue to get this work while still working on my craft, because my talent needs to evolve in these spaces. If I'm going to say I want to make money in every capacity, then I need to be able to have work that can go anywhere.
There you go.
Not just be in Black audiences or I can go anywhere with any of my poems and rock. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of that work. That is part of that work, that I can go anywhere. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people cannot do that. There are a lot of people most cannot. You cannot. You know what I'm saying? And this is not even saying that on some ego or on some
It is what it is.
This is purely on just the facts. You cannot. And if it's not that, then it's in the ways that you work and the things that you're setting up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because I say, people used to say a lot, right? They're like, oh, don't be the poet that, you accepting the lower amounts of money from places, that's messing it up for the rest of us. And I was like, messing it up for who? What this person does it doesn't do that for me, because it's like, now that means I have to do the work to present myself and to say, this is what I'm worth. I know you paid homie over there, whatever, but I don't do that. That's on me now. You know what I'm saying? To come in and show you my product. Yeah. And why my product needs to be this, that, and a third.
Yeah.
And do that accordingly. So it's the same way that, like, blaming the homie that's taking less money is affecting the market. I mean, to the same degree, me being the homie that gets given more money could also affect the market.
Right.
It could very much also affect the market. But what it does in that way too is that if the quality of work is above,
right,
that's going to make the people who are trying to get these services look for that quality, similar or above.
Period.
So that means you're gonna have to get your craft, your pen game, your performance game, your whatever up. Yeah, you have to do that, and that's how I aspired. I was like, when I was coming up and seeing the Saul Williams and the and the Shehans and the Asias and the Sonia Renees and the Gail Danleys and Patricia Smiths and all these folks that were like, yo, they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they did it too. I mean, I'm sure there were people taking less money for gigs then too, but they're here. So what are we talking about here? Mm-hmm. If we want to talk about the market, then we need to talk about then how are we creating a system that has some foundational elements, that has a union if we need it, that has a base salary, insurance. That's the type of stuff I'm on now. The infrastructure part, the parts that literally every other system uses, because it's bogus to me. It is very bogus to me, a lot of the things that I see happen within a lot of different poetry spaces and all that. And I'm like, this is why we're not evolving. Right. And it's going to remain the same for forever, because we want to be so traditionalist and stuck to this underground and the real rap raw mindness. And I'm just like, there's space for that. That can exist. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying adapt and offer different choices and abilities where we can create actual throughways and pathways for tangible results that lead and yield bountiful careers.
But what? I think the problem is no one has spoken of the poetry industry. No one has mentioned that. Literally, if you do a search on the hashtag poetry community, you'll see millions of instances and posts regarding the poetry community. Do a search on the poetry industry. You'll find our posts,
right?
Because we just started using it.
Yeah,
Because where it's just because it's for years just been the poetry community, it's all jumbled into one.
absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so that's why you have the poets. Are you selling out for taking that big check to write for somebody else, and you're not true to yourself? Da 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 da. Like, no, it's two different things.
I roll my eyes.
I need you to understand. This is not.
Oh man,
this is not that. It's two different things.
It's two different things, and I'm sure, like there's levels of ethics and things that can go into those decisions, right? If you're like, I will never write something for, or like, I'll say that for myself, I would never write something for Northrop Grumman or something like that. I would never write something for Northrop Grumman because I just do not agree with the values and systems that they have, and how a lot of what their company has funded a lot of terrible things around the world.
Yeah.
So cool. I won't do it.
Yeah.
Power to the person who does. Cool, but I won't. Right. And so of course you also have to negotiate those things. Yeah. But on the base level, what you're talking about is very real. On some like, so you much rather, because you want to prove how down and real and for the community you are, you're gonna not take this check.
We've also glamorized the broke artist.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the starving artist. Like, I literally starved once. And I said I would never again. Never again. I literally would. I mean, I've been homeless. I've slept in terrible places. I've gone days without eating and all that. And I've lived a life. And I've done the things. If we were to say you have to hit benchmarks of struggle to be, I've done the things. And it took one time for me to be like, nah, something has to change. I have to shift something around. Something has to give. It took me one time of sleeping over at somebody's couch in somebody's dirty house with a cat hairs everywhere, me being like going to the bathroom, their bathroom is disgusting. I literally was like, yeah, I need to make more money doing this poetry stuff so that if I want a hotel, I can get one. Not, that's what you're supposed to do, man. We're poets, you sleep. I mean, I've had people call me and be like, yo, Pages, why you such a a-hole? Because you ain't let me, because I don't want you to sleep at my house. You're not entitled to sleeping at my house. I don't care what this poetry community, whatever, woo. You are not entitled to sleep on my couch. Do your research. And I don't like when people approach me like that. Like you're just like, that's what you're supposed to do. No. You're supposed to do your due diligence and get your things in order and find a place to stay accordingly. And not just, because it could be for a number of reasons. Though I don't have to give you one, but it could be a number of reasons why you can't stay at my crib. So what you gonna do now? Oh man, I gotta tough it out. I gotta take this $15 megabus for 17 hours to go do this poetry slam for $150, where I can maybe sleep on a homie. Why? Why? That does not make sense to me. Now, there's levels of, I've built camaraderie doing some of these things with the homies. We've done cross-country trips and sleeping on couches in a car. Just go, oh man, we got to get to this slam. But the bigger goal, it wasn't just about that slam and the money. It was, we want people to know that we the baddest dudes in the game. that we can go anywhere, any part of the country, step in, sign our name on the list, get on the open mic, do the poetry slam, do the feature, and murk so hard that everybody is like, whoa, who are these peoples? Where did they come from? That was the goal. It wasn't about just the money was cool, but we all knew like, man, after, because that was a lot of our thing too, was like, all right, let's Voltron this joint up. Let's all sign up for the slam. If we all end up winning first, second, third place, put the whole pot together and split it evenly. Done. We have better chances. Again, the numbers and the data, we have better chances of winning that way, doing this. And so it's like the goal wasn't, at the end, when you split the pot between gas and everything else, you're like, man, we finished out with like $20.
Let's
enough
do it
to get a pizza. Like,
let's do it now so we don't have to do it later.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, why? You know, so why are we still on this thing of like, that's a no, like, set yourself. It took me one time and I was like, oh no, I'm never going to have this issue again. Never, ever. And I was like, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm always getting paid enough out of this thing that I'm doing that I can afford a hotel anywhere if it comes to it, barring, again, exigent circumstances of racism or BS or act of God, emergency, whatever. Barring those circumstances, I have set myself up to be able to like, I'm good. And if I'm not, I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. Why? So, you know, and so that's how my approach to the craft has evolved and has then the pathways that I've taken towards those goals, right? From the best writer performer to I need to make money. So what do I need to do? What are the systems and the things I need to use to do that? To now I'm like, all right, cool. I've done the things, right? I've had $100,000 years strictly off of poetry.
Love it.
I've done that. I've traveled the country. I've been in parts of the world. I've gotten opportunities here and there. And I'm not even saying like, and I've done things, but there are other people who've done bigger things than that. There are people who have done way more bigger things than that. You know what I'm saying? And so, but my point is there should be less exceptions. And that, whatever is the exception now, should be more of the rule. There should be more, at this point in the game, there should be more Rudy Francisco's on Jimmy Fallon.
Thank you.
There should be more poets that are winning America's Got Talent and so on and so forth. There should be more poets in writers' rooms for TV shows and film and doing commercials and da-da-da. We should have a league for the Poetry Slam. Why doesn't a league for Poetry Slam exist? Why aren't there unions? Where when something like COVID happens, we can say we have a pool of money and resources for all of the affected artists. You are good. At least for the next 6 months, you're good. You are taken care of. You got health insurance and you got enough to feed yourself and potentially your family too. It's fascinating. And that's the type of stuff like I'm on now. You know, so that's the type of stuff I'm on and trying to build in that way. And I mean, for a while now, I've always been like, I don't like attention. You know what I'm saying? People tell me that, man, you're in the wrong profession for somebody who does not like attention or people. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, but I know how to do my job well. I know when I treat it like I would any other job. I happen to be blessed to be doing a job I enjoy, which a lot of people can't really say. But I happen to be doing a job I enjoy, so it doesn't always feel like work. But I do my job well. I know how to stand in front of people. I know how to talk. I know how to be charming. I know how to use my body, stage presence, all of these things, whether I'm doing a deal or whether I'm on stage trying to wow you with my work. I know how to do these things. And these skills that I've built over the years has allowed me to be able to get my house and do the things that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm incredibly grateful for that. So now my thing is like, I've done enough. I don't need to be on nobody else's stage and all that jazz and this, that, and the third. Like the things that I've wanted to do, anything that I've wanted to accomplish so far in my career, I've done.
Right.
I have done. And so now it's like, cool. My aim has always been of how can I use my platform and the spaces I've been to create more opportunities for other people.
Right.
And that starts in the small ways to the big ways. Like, for example, small ways where it's like the ways, and what I mean by small ways is the ways when you aren't seen, because people get very different. When you're in the public eye and everybody's looking at you, you want to be pristine, perfect. I'm a man of the people. Da-da-da-da. Look at me. Look what I do for people. Now, the small ways I'm talking about, what is it that you do behind closed doors when nobody's looking?
Yeah.
When ain't no applause gonna happen for you doing a thing.
Yeah.
When you're doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Integrity.
Right? The integrity.
Yeah.
And so the small ways means if I get asked to do a show and I notice that all of the performers, for example, are men. If I'm a person that says I'm ethically aligned in everything that I do, if I'm a person that says I'm gonna be about community and setting up spaces, then it is my responsibility as a person who claims to be a leader and this and the third. It is then my responsibility to go to these people and say, hey, I am sure y'all could have found a woman, a queer artist, somebody that's not this over majority of people that we have here, that we've already seen, that has gotten many opportunities.
Yeah.
Here are some people I would recommend in my place. Boom.
Yep. Yeah.
And so, of course, I could have used that extra $5,000.
Right.
Shoot, I could even use that extra $200. We ain't even gotta go into the stacks. We can stay in the hundreds.
Right.
Heck yeah, I would love to have an extra $200 in my pocket right now. Of course.
Yeah.
But there are bigger things at play here.
Yep.
There are bigger things at play when we're talking about building community and doing the right things and setting things up. You know what I'm saying? And doing this not because I want your claps or your recognition after. Oftentimes, there's a lot of things I've said that I never even told the people that I did that. It's not until like later they hit me up. They're like, yo, I found out that you're the one who recommended me for this job. I was like, yeah. It's like, oh, wow, why ain't you say nothing? I was like, oh, well, you were going to say that there ain't nothing to be said. It's not about me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I trusted that you were going to deliver, and you did. Man, I could never repay you. I was like, don't even worry about that. When the time comes, like, because that's also how you're building, you building bridges and stuff like that, because you don't know how that network and how you bless that person is going to bless you later on. And when we live in a world of instant gratification on everything, it's hard to see that. You know, people want the now instead of being like, no, think about the bigger picture of what we're trying to create here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Of wanting to see different voices and different stories and different backgrounds represented. Of opening these spaces and platforms for as many people as we possibly can. Of building an ethical and responsible system that allows for careers to flourish. And then giving back. Because that's one of the things that I would say about, not all, but I mean, we can say not all about everything in life, right? But a lot of the elders, the ones that I grew up watching, who left because, you know, petty things here and BS there, or elitism here, or I'm popping now, I don't got the time there, which is fine. But then you don't get to talk about the space that you left and did nothing with. You don't get to do that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, that's why I hate a lot of these, you know, not even the older cats, not even saying in terms of age, but people who came from another era of the poetry scene or whatever, in any part of the world. Oh, these, you know, these button poetry or these whatever cats, everybody's doing poems to get on button now or to do this. And I'm like, okay, this is, every era has its era of ups and downs.
Yeah.
The same way that cats now, oh man, it's not like rap, man. Rap was always bruh, these mumble rappers and they're at this, that, there. I'm like, y'all had terrible rap in the 80s too. Stop playing. You had terrible things then too.
Right.
Stop playing. You did.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I'm not saying that can't grow to be a problem, just like anything else can be. What I'm saying is, what are you doing about it? Because if your approach to the craft and the way that you build your work and you build your network goes beyond the things of doing things for views and for claps, then the people that you're bringing up are going to be okay.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, cool, I got some dope things on Button, and Button is dope for that. Button is the reason I've gotten a lot of the things I've gotten. Right. And that's not on some like I'm trying to ride them for whatever. Those are the homies and they're the homies. But that's part of why it also worked, because it's people that were actually in the poetry community that started these things.
Yeah.
Right. But then they were also smart enough to recognize I need to get people outside of the poetry community to buy into this so that it can grow into something bigger.
Right.
Because a lot of the shows and things that we did, and that's part of the growth and evolution. I was like, I don't do things for poets, man, for other poets, because other poets aren't paying these bills.
And that's what we got. I'm glad you said that, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so like take for instance, battle rap, right?
Oh, great example. Right? I'm glad we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, so they love the community part of it, right? They love the culture. That's the word for it, the culture of it. But without the non-rapped or the non-rapper buying into it, there is no battle rap. There's no league, there's no industry. You have to have non-poets, non-poetry industry people like, wow, you have to have that, or you have nothing, or all you have is you don't even have an open mic.
You don't. You really don't. You really don't. On the basic level, you don't.
Because majority of the open mic is, man, it's a Wednesday. I want to go out and hear some good words, some good vibes, you know what I mean? And then by the end of the night, I feel like I want to go up. I've never written a poem before, right? So we got to get to a point where the slams aren't just poets in the crowd.
We can't, because that's never going to grow the situation at all. We have to, and part of that again is because we don't have a system of not grading. Why is this word escaping me right now? We do not have a system of, if you do A, B, and C, that means you are this level of good. We don't have that.
I can't think of the word. Yeah.
We don't have that. We don't have a rubric. We don't have a thing that says if you hit this goal, that makes you this elite, such and such.
Litmus? No.
Yeah, not even litmus. Oh man, I have it and then I don't. But it'll come to me. It'll come to me. And part of that too is, now if we're going to talk specifically slam, which is the competitive arena of poetry, I think one of the biggest and most and things that has harmed slam the most is the random judges. We are the only sport, because at the end of the day, slam is a sport. It's a sport of words. We are the only sport that is decided by people who know nothing and do nothing within the sport. Could you imagine if LeBron James scored 60 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists, doing all the things? I mean, dominating the game. And then at the end, the referee comes and says, actually, the other team won because they like their colors better. I mean, that's essentially what we're doing. We're leaving this thing up to. I mean, there's nothing, not even singing competitions. The Voice and all that, what do? They might have an audience choice.
Yeah.
For sure. They'll have some level of audience choice.
But they have singers as judges.
But they have singers, producers, executives, either people that have the talent, people who know and study the talent, or people who have the ear for the talent that are judging it. Who have shown their expertise, whether through their experiences or whatever, in this, in some capacity. It's not Joe Schmo. Like we will never go to the figure skating Olympics and it's judged by you and I.
Right.
Never. I mean, I don't know what you know, brother, but I know nothing about the conventions of a triple axel.
Yeah.
I just know, oh snap, that person just went up in the air, spun it looked like it was 4 times, and landed and didn't break their knees. That's awesome.
On a single blade.
On a single blade atop a sheet of ice. That's incredible. But that's all I see. I don't know the nuances of the proper pivots and the angles and the gracefulness and the da-da-da-da. Like, I know nothing about that. So how am I qualified to be a judge? How? So why are we employing that system as our metric? That's the word, the metric. We don't have a proper metric that allows us to be able, because unfortunately, and particularly with slam, and this is something I've told a lot to my students and in many conversations, poetry slam particularly is a sport of mediocrity. It's a sport that rewards mediocrity. It is, it was created by a mediocre white dude who kept getting told by academia that his poems sucked. So he goes to a bar and says, all right, I'm gonna read my poems. If you like it, give it a high score. If you don't like it, let's show these academics, blah, 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 blah. Now, I would agree that, of course, again, that goes back to the elitism parts, right, of academia and all that. There's a conversation that can be had about that, for sure. And how a lot of voices have been denied because you don't have MFA this or technique that and blah, 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 blah. That conversation can happen. That is a truth, for sure.
Yeah, right.
But the other side of it is, sir, your poems just aren't good. So it was easier for you to go to a bunch of drunk people who don't care to be like, yeah, you know what? Just get out of my face. You get a high score. Great, 10. You get a 10. Please get out of my face now. You happy? And so we are a sport now that rewards mediocrity where people aren't doing the work. For example, I think we shouldn't have random judges. I think it should be at least 3 to 4 pro judges.
Yeah.
And I don't care whether I know the judge or not. My contemporaries I should have, you know what I'm saying, my contemporaries be judges. Because I would much rather Rudy Francisco, who knows the work and who knows the conventions of page and stage, judge me, you know what I'm saying? Not just on the homie, but like he's even going to judge me harder because I'm the homie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we should have that space and be able to build integrity within the system and trust that people will abide by that, but also creating systems of checks and balances for cheating or whatever. But I think that's egregious. We should have 3, if not 4 pro judges and only 1 judge. At most 2, that's an audience judge. That judge is the judge that doesn't really matter, but it relegates, it allows for the space to be present because that's part of what poetry and a lot of poetry community and poetry slam is. It's about interaction. It's about how do we get the audience and everybody involved.
He would be the judge that represents the outsider.
The outsider, right. Yeah. Or create a system that allows for mass voting, where the entire audience has a little phone or something. They all vote. We take the average of that, and that's who that score goes to the person. but we need professionals to be the judges with a rubric where they're denotated. Okay, performance, if you do anything between this bar to this bar, where you lie on the bar is what's going to attribute the number.
Yeah.
That then allows us to create active data. Part of why I love sports is I love how these analysts create these stats. And then based on these stats, they can make these predictions. And Vegas and bets in Vegas is this team is going to win because for the past 20 years, when they've been 3-1, they've won at least 42 out of 48 times. We have hard data that can then help us compile and build a system out of.
Yeah.
That's going to allow us to do that. Number two, things like penalties. I think you should be penalized if you drop your poem.
Ooh,
I do.
Yeah.
You should get a because if somebody drops the ball or somebody commits a foul, there's a penalty.
Yeah.
So if we're in a sport where it's all about poise and presence and knowing your work and performing it properly, if somebody drops a line at a theater show, you're going to be like,
Right.
And so why is it that somebody drops a line at a slam and it's boo time, boo time. Time ain't do nothing.
It's all right, poet.
It's all right, poet. No, it's not all right. You dropped your poem. Do better. Practice your poem. Know your words. What? Boo time. I hate when people say that. I'm like, time ain't do nothing, y'all.
See,
time was minding its business.
Without that accountability, you don't push to get better.
You don't push to get better. And so don't come at me later and being like, oh, you only beat me because I got a time penalty. I'm like, well, time is part of the skill set in this sport that we're playing. Brevity. They gave you a time to say whatever you want to say and elicit a reaction and get some points. I did that within the time frame. You didn't. That means you didn't do your job. So don't come at me. I only beat you because of a time penalty. No, I beat you because I was better at my skill set. I used my skill set better than you did. That's why I beat you. So it has to stop being a sport that rewards mediocrity.
Yeah.
The moment that it does that, it's going to push everybody to work harder. And then we're going to have more stages and filled with people that are doing that work in whatever capacity, whether they're coming from academia or whether it's the homie from down the street or, whether it's wherever they're coming from. But they at least have the goal of the approach to the craft is something that they take seriously.
Yeah.
So if you're just in it to get claps and self-express, cool. And that's why a lot of cats don't do slam, right? Because even with all of these things that I've said about how slam rewards mediocrity, it still be hurting people's feelings when they don't make it because they realize how much it's like, oh man, I actually do have to do certain things a certain way in order to so on and so forth.
Right.
And when they realize that, oh, I don't do slam, they be judging and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you just mad because you lost. You're not mad because you actually mad at the process and wanting to do something about it. You just big mad because you in your feelings because you lost, because nobody clapped for your BS poem or nobody clapped for you used to go on your grandmama house or the homies at that one club that always, that's my dude, man, best writer, da-da-da. But then you get in an arena with different people and other cats that are also dope writers and dope performers, and you don't make it, and suddenly it's, oh, I hate slam, or I hate, these cats are there. I'm like, I hate that so much.
Yeah.
Because again, you're not doing the work. You didn't win. Come better next time. I mean, I've lost so many times. I can't tell you, Christoph.
Really?
I lost a lot before I started winning a lot. But every time I lost, I was like, I had to come back and smash on them next time. This can't happen again.
The fact that you kept going.
You know what I'm saying? I lost a lot. And I started doing poetry slams with adults as a teenager, as a high schooler. And these adults didn't care. I mean, I had adults that were crushing myself. They're like, man, what does this little dude think he is? Get out of here. I remember when I thought I was so hot, I was the hottest thing in the world, that I was gonna retire at 15 years old. It's like, I'm done. The poetry game, I did it. I killed it. I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. Everybody loves me. I'm the thing now.
I've
I'm
arrived.
retiring.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Like, and so, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people just aren't built for it. And you have to be real about that.
Right.
That this ain't your lane. You're not built for this. And you're not built for it in the way that you think you are.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Or your goals ain't aligned with the intention.
Yeah. Yeah. So practical application, right? And what I'm hearing a lot is self-development before you start to pursue, that is matters. As a matter of fact, I'll take that back, because the self-development is a part of the pursuit.
Yeah.
So before you jump out there and try to go get the bag, like, develop your skill. Yeah.
Because as much as you want to talk trash about Soulja Boy, cool, he might not have been the best rapper, sure, and that ain't something that anybody is denying, but Soulja Boy revolutionized the rap game in relationship to the internet. Soulja Boy is the reason why a lot of what the internet, when it comes to rap culture and the rap game and how the rap industry, he's the reason for that.
Yeah.
Because, again, he might have not been the best rapper, but he was in front of his computer every day, 14, 15 years old, learning Pro Tools, learning GIMP, learning all of the things. All right, cool. I'm going to make this little beat. It ended, ding, 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 ding. Okay. All right, I'm going to go every day, working. You know what? Let me get my homies. Hey, let's all wear matching fits. Let's do a little dance. Let's create a dance for this. Why not? Let's do a dance. Bing, 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 bing. All right, man. Cool. Let's put it on the internet. And let's just like go everywhere we go. I mean, it was just marketing. And that's a certain level of like, it was unrefined at that moment. But once it popped, it became more and more refined. It was part marketing. And he revolutionized the game. And no one can deny that. Sure. Is he the greatest rapper? No.
Right.
But where his talent may not have been in the writing, the talent was in the approach.
In the consistency.
In the determination, in the work ethic. You could be the most talented. I know a lot of talented people who are not doing nothing.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people that I'm like, this is terrible. But they on top of the world.
Yeah.
What's the difference here? Some of it could be biases, for sure. These things exist. Whatever isms that you want to think of, for sure, where some people are given advantages over others. Absolutely.
Right.
But then there's also a lot of times the factor of your approach was just a no. The way that you worked at this, how you worked at this, why you're working at it, all of it is a no.
Yeah.
So you got all the talent in the world, but
the person that out hustles the skilled wins
every time.
So you can be highly skilled and say, I'm highly skilled, so I'm a coast. Okay, that turtle, you're the hare, but that turtle's about to lap you.
That turtle about to lap you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why in that part of that self-work, you got to take the ego out. You got to deal with the ego, man.
That's what it is.
There's places where the ego is necessary. Absolutely. There's definitely times and places where the ego is very necessary. But oftentimes, man, that is after a great deal of negotiation and really self-reflection.
Yes.
And taking the ego out of a lot of situations. And I mean, I can't tell you so many cats, from young cats to even adult cats, you know what I'm saying, and other contemporaries within my bracket that I've talked to, and even myself, where I was like, man, if I had taken my ego out of that situation, we could have been in a different place.
Wow.
We could have been in a different place quicker. We could have been in a different place sooner. We could have been in a better place if I had just taken my ego out the situation a little bit.
Right. Yeah. If I had simply just pressed pause real quick and said, oh, wait, well, let me check myself real quick. I'm wilding right now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm wilding. And so let me
self-inventory.
Step back. Just step back. And I wish more people stepped back in order to create more room for others, because you take up less space so that everybody can have more space. That's what liberation is. Liberation means taking an L in order for more people to have W's. That's the work of liberation.
Right.
So what are you willing to lose and sacrifice in order for more people to be able to win? Because if we're talking about community and the strength of numbers, which is all true, the more of us are winning, the better it is for everyone. The more of us setting up spaces for everybody to win, the better overall it's going to be towards building this poetry industry at a commensurate rate as the poetry community.
Yeah. Totally. Because there is no industry with just 3 poets.
Not at all. That's not an industry. That's a band. That's you know what I'm saying? That's a blog. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not an industry.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
Without mentorship and without teaching, you know, they won't get there. They just won't get there, because most people have to see it. Most people have to see it before they believe that they can be and do it.
Absolutely. And that's why for me, it's like, man, I've never made myself unavailable to anyone. Like, unless I really don't mess with you, I just don't bangs with you at all. I've never made myself unavailable to anyone, because I'm like, I don't get people who want to hoard wealth. Yeah. Because that type of mentality, that's that white supremacist mentality. That's that colonizer mentality. I hoard wealth, everything's for me, and now if you want this, you gotta pay me for it, or you gotta do something for me in order to get this. Where it's like, if we look at the simplest form, none of this belongs to you, bro. This belongs to the world. This belongs to the earth. This belongs to the universe. This ain't yours.
Right.
This ain't yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this entitlement that then leads to hoarding wealth, as if, and then that also can grow into a crabs in a barrel mentality where I gotta get me, in order to, even if I'm stepping on other people, I gotta get me. We're never gonna grow that way. Period. And so that's why it's important for mentors and anybody, and the right mentors, because not everybody meant to be mentors. That's another thing we got to be real about. True. Mentorship ain't about how many years and how much experience, because there's a lot of cats. I don't care how much of an OG you are. Just because you're OG doesn't mean you are qualified. Right. You could be an OG and still not be qualified. I will give you the respect that you've earned. Right. I will show you the respect that you've earned as an OG. Right. But just because you're an OG doesn't mean you're qualified. And just because you're an OG doesn't mean that you know everything and that there's no more room for growth, even for you. Yeah. And that is the biggest thing about self-work, realizing that, one who claims to, the age-old saying, one who claims to know everything is someone who knows nothing at all. Right.
Just because you're old doesn't mean you're wise.
Does not mean you're wise.
You're just old.
You know what I'm saying? You're just old, bruh. You've lived through some things. Right. And your experience. I respect that. And I respect that. I respect it 100. but that don't make you qualified to necessarily make or be the only choice.
Yeah.
Especially not forever.
Yeah.
Because times change, people change, spaces change, and you have to adapt. You have to adapt. You have to evolve. And so that's the part where I get very sometimes annoyed with the elders who talk a lot, but you're not in here. You never came back. You left.
Right.
Now you want to talk about how this thing is messed up and everybody sound like this and blah, 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 blah. Okay, what are you doing about it? What are you setting up using all your resources and things? What are you setting up, or how are you empowering other people to be able to reach these things and supposedly come to the promised land, whatever that promised land you think it is? Right. What are you doing? Oh, well, you know, but okay, then you don't have any. You can't really speak then.
Right.
Because we are the only space that, like, I mean, everywhere else. That's why we have, and that's how we talk about the not just the data procurement, but the keeping of history and legacies. That's why we have I keep going back to basketball, where we can have the Bill Russells and the Magic Johnsons. We have the Bill Russells, the Magic Johnsons, all these people that are still involved. They're either commentating, they're donating their money, their time, they're coming back, building, camps this and showing up for that and blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying you have to overwork yourself. No, please don't take that as overwork yourself or die and you're not pouring back into yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how we are putting back into the community what the community gave us in the first place, so that the next people in line don't have to work as hard or struggle the same things we did when they do not have to.
You were taught, you applied it. Now it's time for you to teach.
Simple.
Period.
Simple.
Yeah. Reach back.
Reach back. And so often people don't reach back within this community, man.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I peeped early. When I peeped that early, that was part of the thing that made me really sad. It really made me sad. It didn't make me want to walk away, because I love this community. I love poetry. I love performance poetry, and I love slam. I do. Yeah. There are a lot of things about it that I find no, and that I don't want to participate in this way, and that I would love to see change, and that I'm actively building and working and talking about to create those changes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But I'm here and I love it. I love it, because without it, I wouldn't be where I am today on this incredible podcast, Poet Life Podcast, talking to you right now and having these conversations.
Man, I appreciate you, man, because these conversations are needed,
Absolutely.
So needed, because without the conversation, nothing gets resolved. Nothing progresses. Racism, the police brutality. If no one's talking, then nothing is changing.
Facts. And then after the conversations, there needs to be follow through.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people talk. I'm like, y'all been talking for years. Y'all haven't done nothing.
Yeah. It has to be intentional talking.
Intentional conversations, intentional talking.
Action items.
You know what I'm saying? That you're not just talking because you like to hear yourself talk, because you love self-expression.
Yeah.
You don't love the craft. You don't love the work. You don't, whether it's poetry or whatever it is. You don't love the work. You just love self-expression. You love people clapping for you and making you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who doesn't? Who doesn't want for people to make them feel good? Of course, we all do.
Right.
We all do. But we also understand how that's not always part of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's not part of the bigger work. And that's not often part in the understanding of it's bigger than me. It's not just about me. You know what I'm saying? And how can I show up then in that effort?
Yeah.
To ensure that anyone that comes after me or that builds after me is well equipped to be able. There's a reason why engineers don't build the way they used to. But there's also a reason why engineers don't build the way they used to.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? If you're getting what I'm meaning right here.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, we not going the way they used to build things back in the 1600s, 1300s, 1200s, 11 BC, whatever.
Right.
It's not the same because now we don't need 100 men to make a single cinder block. We got a machine that can do that in 10 minutes.
Right.
Because we built a machine that can do this for us. And that's part of like the growth and the evolution, right? And so, you know, it's a delicate balance of both honoring, respecting, and giving the roses and the flowers in the work that was done before.
Yeah.
But then how that then informs the present.
Right.
So that you can build a better future.
Beautiful.
It's Sankofa. You know what I'm saying? It's the little thing. You got to know your past to know where you're going.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, if the people are not reaching back in order to carry us through, we gonna be stuck in the same hole. It's like, okay, y'all got out the hole. That's why you put your hand back you reach back to grab the other people out the hole.
Throw the rope down.
Or throw the rope down. If you can't put your hand, then throw the rope down. If you can't throw your hand or throw a rope down, find somebody who can. Maybe that's your talent. Your talent is you're the fastest runner between all of us. Yeah. So we need to get you out the hole first.
Yeah.
So you can run as fast as you can to go get somebody who can help us out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's your talent. Your talent may not be the reeling in or the throwing of the rope.
Yeah.
Your talent might be the runner who goes get somebody. Your talent might be the person who makes the rope.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your talent.
Period.
Or whatever it is, it's the goal is we got to get our people out this hole. Let's get out this hole. And then after we all get out, let's cover the hole up to make sure that nobody else falls into it.
That's heavy. That's heavy. You know, because I was, you know, when I first started, I was getting so who is he? Like, he doesn't even perform. He's not, what makes him the authority, you know? And I'm like, bro, do you understand? Like, there are 5 people on a team. Not everybody's the point guard. Not everybody's shooting the ball. Not everybody's the shooting guard. I may simply just be passing you the towel.
But I got a job to do. And I got to do that job well.
I'm playing my role.
The people who sweeping the floor after every play, imagine if they don't sweep the floors after every play. Watch what happens.
You gonna break your ankle.
Every time.
Because I didn't do my job.
Every time.
Now you
break your ankle. Now your career is over. Now endorsements gone. Now this, now that, all that out the water.
Because you ain't let me do my job.
You was like, you know what I'm saying? And so we have, you know, there's so much, again, the conversations have to happen. The follow through from the conversations that have to happen.
Yeah.
Who is having those conversations is just as important. Right. Where those conversations are having, who are leading those conversations, not the same voices we've heard before, not the same people, the same way, who's sitting at the table. Matter of fact, let's think even beyond that. Why is there even a table in the first place in this way? I don't want to sit at the table. I believe in a world where that table doesn't exist. Because that table isn't important, right? It's created this hierarchy of, you know what I'm saying, it's us in here and we're deciding all the things for everybody else, where it's like, no, or liberation is there is no table. Liberation is there is no fence.
Yeah.
Right? That graphic of the fence and everybody's seen that graphic of the different kids at the fence, the shortest kid to the tallest kid sitting on the boxes. Yeah. Liberation is there is no fence. Not let's find a way around the fence.
Yeah.
Liberation is there is no fence.
Everybody's trying to think outside the box. There is no box.
There is no box.
Who said there was a box?
And that's the real game of life and how messed up white supremacy and capitalism, because they work together, right? White supremacy has taught us that subjugation is the only means to gain power. So then it makes us believe that there is no power in empathy and kindness, which is the root of doing something for other people, which is the root of community. It's empathy and kindness. And the power that comes from the numbers when we're all being kind and empathetic and supportive of each other.
Yeah, everybody trying to get theirs.
Everybody trying to get there. So white supremacy teaches us that subjugation is the only means to power.
Yeah.
On the other end, what bankrolls white supremacy? Capitalism. And what does capitalism teach us? Capitalism teaches us that every relationship is transactional.
Right.
It teaches us that you're only valuable for as long as you can do something for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and they work in tandem. So everything else that we've had, everything that's happened around that in some capacity, whether in a small way or a big way, it all trickles down from these things. Your racism, your colorism, your sexism, your fat phobia, your homophobia, your transphobia, your ableism, all of these things are all factors of white supremacy as being bankrolled by capitalism. And so when I go back to my growth where I am now in terms of like my relationship with money, for example, how I am continuously making efforts and choices, decisions where my goal is about divesting from whiteness and white supremacy in all of the ways that it showed up in my life. And sometimes that might mean not doing a show or two. Sometimes that might mean saying no to that check. Sometimes that might mean, you know what I'm saying, sacrificing something. Sometimes that might mean giving something in this way. Sometimes that might mean showing up in this way, because my goal now is about, if it's about doing community and making sure the community is okay, then I can no longer endorse or support the things that are anti-community, the things that do not bring value to the community. And so it's like even my books, right? I came out with a book of haikus. I didn't make a thing about it. And again, these are all things I've done. I know how to market. I know how to do Instagram, social media, blah, blah, blah. I know how to, but I'm choosing like to diversify because these things are not what I found value in anymore. And so if you believe in the ladder of white supremacy, if you believe in the ladder of capitalism, if you believe in the box,
right,
you're going to constantly be imprisoned by it. You're constantly going to believe that I'm at the bottom of the ladder. I need to get to the top and I need to trample everybody else on my way too, because being at the top is what makes me valuable. So if you believe in a ladder, that's going to be your reality. It's going to be your truth. It ain't the fact, but it is the truth, because everything that's fact can be truth, but everything that's truth is not necessarily fact. And the fact is, you do not have to believe in the box, the ladder, the pyramid of all these systems of oppression that have informed so much of our lives. And it takes a lot of work. It's not overnight. I'm still doing that work. Everybody, because and that's part of the work. It's an everyday thing. But people don't want to do that because it's easier to live without doing that work. It's easier. And for some people, they don't even have the capacity. They're not equipped with the tools, or they don't have the access for whatever reason. And for some people, they just can't, because it's like, yes, it's hard for me to, it's hard for me to try to convince the homie that, yo, don't do this because this ain't right. When it's like, but bro, I got bills to pay. I got my family to feed.
Right.
I gotta get my kids to school. I gotta da. You know what I'm saying? And that then is what the pressure of capitalism is. You gotta work. You gotta go. You gotta produce. Because you're not just producing the product. On the real, you are the product. You are the product that's feeding everything else in this machine.
Right.
And so COVID was the thing that threw a curveball at all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it threw a curveball at capitalism. It threw a curveball at white supremacy. It threw a curve because it literally
reset.
It reset. It completely reset. To the point that the powers that be and the people in power were like, "Oh, wait, hold on. We got to do something about this."
Yeah.
And this is part of why the times that we're in now are as volatile as they are.
Yeah.
Because people are realizing that the jig is up. People are realizing the game. People are seeing the ladder. People are seeing the pyramid and starting to be like, yeah, maybe this is not worth it.
Right.
It's not worth it. I would rather not have than to lose the integrity and to lose my community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like I did the thing with the book and I was like, it's not about making money for me for this book. If people want to support me, I'm gonna make space for that for sure. I'll tell you, cool. Per the things, the systems and processes that happen for this book to come to fruition,
right?
The numbers and data tell me that I should make this book at least $15 in order to recoup any kind of profit. So I can tell you the book costs $15. But pay what you want to give. Pay what you can. Pay what you believe, like based off the work that I've done, that is worth. Give me what you have, sure. And for some people, I've been like, nah, I don't even want nothing. Here's the book. Right? The blessings that come are so much bigger in that way. So much bigger. Because for me, it's not about money. It's not about making money. Because I've done that already. I did the make money thing. I did that.
Yeah.
And how unfulfilled I still was. How sad I still was. How lonely I still was. How depressed I still was. How anxious I still was. How, everything looked good on the outside, but the internal struggle was real.
Yeah.
The pressures and it was real.
If we can get to the place where we're like, listen, man, I want you to win. If we can get to that place, and then once we get to that place, we then say, for me to win, I need you to win.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's the premise of what I'm doing here, because I know that having a Prentice Powell, a Pages Matam, G Yamazawa, and that's it. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. I've searched for 30 years, literally. Like I'm turning 38 next month, and I'm like, I've been searching and like, where is the money in poetry? Like, where's the growth in poetry? Where's the progression in it? Is it possible for me to make this a living? Can I do this for a living? And I've Googled it. And I said, you know what? All right, I'm done searching. I'm just going to start creating. I'm going to just start creating. And that's what's going to happen. Yeah. And so I'm at a place where I need little Jimmy that's 12 to know that he can grow up to be a poet and it not be laughed at. What are you talking about? There's no money in poetry.
Right.
It's not possible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I go so hard, and I was going so hard for Brandon, and I'm going so hard for you and others, and the upcoming poet, because again, what I'm doing now is in vain if they don't take it and apply it and win.
Yeah.
What am I doing it for? For what?
For what? You know what I'm saying?
Like, why am I bringing you on to impart what you know if it doesn't make a difference?
If it does not make a difference.
You know, like what's the point of me having a podcast and just talking poetry? Let's just talk poetry. That's what we did season 1. You know, and it was cool. It was a good conversation. But then I was like, okay, let me pivot a little bit. Let's get some information. Like let's have this podcast be a resource where they can go through each episode and learn something to say, okay, all right, let me take that in. Let me write this down. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Oh, Pages is on here. He's laying it all out for me. He's teaching me the approach that I should take, or at least one of them.
At least one of them. I ain't saying like my approach may be the best, but at least one of them.
He's giving me options. I now have options. I only knew what I know. Now I have another tool in my tool belt.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it takes, man. Look, man, I'm not gonna hold you, man.
That's beautiful, man.
Say thank you, man.
No, thank you
for going on the journey and taking the path that you've taken. But not only taking that path and arriving, but you're reaching back.
Absolutely.
And have been reaching back for years, you know? Yeah, most definitely. If you could give steps, and that's again, it's just options, but if you can give steps to the poet to get to a place where they feel as though, all right, I got my footing.
Yeah.
What would those steps be?
And you know, and things have changed as the technology, because of course technology has changed a lot. Technology has changed a lot. Definitely, my first thing is always read and learn as much as possible about whatever you're doing. I mean, you cannot become a better writer if you're not reading other writers' work. That I know it sounds very like, well, duh, of course, but you will be very surprised how often people don't do it. Now, I also understand the questions of accessibility and certain limitations that are put, and how people have access to information or books or education and reading levels and all of the other BSs that are because of that, for sure. But if you have the access and the capacity to get that resource, get it. Get that book, read them writers, study those other writers, find their work, find somebody who knows their work, read, learn. From that step on, apply what you learn, right? Apply what you learn. Ask questions. I tell people, ask questions. You're not asking enough questions, because it's I tell a lot of my students, when it comes to writing, right? We have all of the answers.
Yeah.
It's not about knowing the answer. It's about knowing what question is being asked.
Wow.
Because if you're writing and you're like, yeah, man, this is a poem about my favorite teddy bear. So that's how you're writing, right? You're writing from that lens of, I'm writing about my favorite teddy bear. But if you look deep at the poem, because you've read and learned and asked questions to others or had other people give feedback and and all that, but you now can critically think about your work. It's critical analysis now.
Right.
You will realize that, the reason this isn't working is because the poem whole time is asking me to write about my relationship with my father.
Oh.
It was never about my favorite teddy bear. It was about my relationship with my father. So now that's going to shift the writing, and everything is going to come because you knew what question was being asked by the work.
Wow.
And so much of everything is not about the answers. It's not about the, and because we all have the answers. And if we don't have the answer, we know somebody who does.
Right.
No matter what level, even on the basic human level, if a child cannot get the thing, they know somebody who can.
Right.
Or they will die. And I hate to put it that grimly, but that's just what it is. Even as a baby, if a baby could feed itself and just get the thing, they would. But because they can't, but they at least know that somebody can do it, what do I need to do? I need to cry. I need to wail. I need to wail. And I got different cries too. I got to cry for when I got pee-pee and poo-poo. I got to cry for when I'm hungry. I got to cry for when I want attention. I may not have the answer, but I know somebody who does. But it's about knowing what question is being asked. So now when you are the adult who goes to the child and the child is crying, you thinking it's because, oh, the baby is hungry. No. Did you listen critically to how the child was crying, to what noises it was making, to how it was responding to your engagement? Oh, the baby wasn't acting up because the baby was hungry. Baby was acting up because baby got a dirty diaper.
Wow.
You knew what question was being asked. So now you know how to answer it. So that's the second part. Know which questions are being asked. And for that to happen, you have to think critically about your work. You have to think critically about yourself and the world within you so that it allows you to think critically about the world around you and how you engage with that world.
Yeah.
The third thing is ask for help, y'all. Friend of mine, contemporary, Sarah Lawson, who was one of the co-founders of the Beltway Poetry Slam when it first started. They have a poem where they have a line that's always stuck with me, where they said, the hardest question I was ever asked, the hardest question, or the three hardest words to say is not I love you, but I need help.
Wow.
And that line has stuck with me for years because I can't tell you how many situations, again, I've been in because of ego and because I simply could not utter the words, I need help.
Wow.
So I would rather die, struggle, be miserable than to be like, yo, Christoph, I need some help. Which leads then to the fourth part, knowing who to ask for that help and when to ask for that help. And that goes into the bigger conversation of who's in your circle, what's your community, what's your support system, who are those people? Because not everybody is your folks. Right. As much as we want to say, oh, community, blah, 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 not everybody is your community, if we want to be real. Not everybody should be in your community, if we want to be very real.
Right.
So you have to assess that too. Who's in your circle? Who you running with? What's your support system? Who are the people that you can go and ask for help? Right, where I build my system and my system and my network enough where I have people in my life where I could be like, cool, I know I can go to this person for this. But then I also know I got peoples in my life where if I need 20 grand right now, I could go to them and ask them for 20 grand and it'll probably be wired to my bank account. And that's not on some like I'm trying to flex type thing. It's just these are the networks and the type of people that I've built, that I've gotten to know, and the relationships that I've built. Yeah. And community in the ways now that I'm approaching community, not just about the value of what you can do for me, but the value that I build in myself so that you want to do things regardless because you believe in the vision, you believe in the work, you believe that whatever is happening there, that's important because it's going to build something even bigger than that all of us are going to get to win on. So I need to get in on that.
Yeah.
That's how you build your value. You build your value based on the self, not based on what you think people think of you. And that's an unfortunate downfall of the technology age that we're in, the social media age that we're in. Instagram likes, Facebook likes, I got these many likes, I got these many followers, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, these followers ain't paying your bills.
Right.
You got 60,000 followers. You can ask all of them to give you $1. Because if you literally ask all your followers to give you $1, you have 60 grand in your pocket immediately. But you can't do that.
Wow.
So what do these followers mean then? What does that mean to have that? What does that mean to have that? And then the bigger question, if you're assessing your relationship with money like I've been, is what is my relationship and what does that even mean in terms of like having these 60,000 followers to monetize them to then do what? To continue to further the wheel of capitalism or to reach back and pour into myself and actually pour into the community? And if I'm about pouring back into myself and into the community, then what are the things that I can do outside of followers that would still give me that fulfillment?
Right.
What is the if paying bills was not a part of the equation, how different would your life be?
Wow.
And that's the unfortunate luxury that, again, a lot of our white counterparts have had. Where they don't have to, I don't got to worry about bills. Daddy got it. Plantation money got it. Old money got it. Slave money got it. I ain't had to worry about nothing, which then allowed me to do everything else I've ever wanted. And that's the thing about this, people always being like, oh, this world doesn't exist. I don't see the possibility of such a world existing. And da-da-da-da. I'm like, it does exist. White people got that world. That's why they're mad. That's why they're acting, because they're like, other people are starting trying to get in on our world. We can't have that. Because if everybody gets it, then what are we going to have? Then we're not the dominant race or the dominant people. We're not at the top no more. But that's because you're believing in that pyramid scheme, a literal pyramid scheme, in the ladder of the oppressive system, versus believing that if everybody wins, that means I win too.
Right. Yep.
So those are the basic thing. Oh, and then the last part is rest. Rest. Please rest. Please be kind to yourself. Rest.
Right.
Rest. Don't believe that you got to go 0 to 100 at all times, because you will quickly burn out.
Burn out.
Don't believe that you got to constantly be pouring into everybody and never pouring into yourself. Burn out. Please rest. Please. Wow. And I know it's hard. I know there's so many things happening. I know there's the nights where your mind just won't go to sleep because of all the anxieties and how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How am I going to da-da-da-da? I have or
and the popularity of the grind.
And the popularity of the grind. You know, you sleep, I grind. It's like, all right, cool. Grind away, brother. Do your thing. I'm going to be sleep.
Grind right into the grave.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be sleep. You know, you sleep, I grind. Cool beans, man. More power to you. I wish you all the best. I hope it works out for you.
Right. Because when I wake, I'm going to develop myself to where I don't have to grind so much.
That's it. I don't want to have to grind. I don't want to have to grind. Nobody should have to. And that's the biggest. Nobody should have to do that. Just because we're people that can work multiple jobs and and accomplish, that doesn't mean that we should.
Right.
That doesn't mean that that's fun. Cool, I got the strength of 10 men, but that don't mean that you need to send out, hydras and and 300 monsters and giants at me all the time.
Right.
Like no. You know what I'm saying? The strength of 10 men wasn't about, constantly facing the ills. It was about the special circumstances where something great happens. There is somebody that is equipped with the tools and the power to help us out. And that's my role in the community. Not you make it a chore in my job for me to struggle.
Right.
Yeah. So those are my 5 steps. My 5 steps.
He done gave us a whole second podcast, man. Man, thank you so much, Pages. I really appreciate you, man.
Always.
Really means a lot. I can't wait till this drops. It drops in a few weeks. I'll let you know.
Yes, sir.
But when it does, the enlightenment, I can see it already because I get the DMs and the inboxes and the text messages. Like, man, that episode right there, I've been looking for it for years, been waiting for it, and here it is, man. So I know this is going to be one of those. So thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you.
Anytime, brother. Anytime, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Life Podcast. If you need more information about what we're doing, go to thepoetlife.com and check out Pages Matam. What's your Instagram?
Yeah, man. I'm Pages OFLE PAGES OFLE everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, all the things. Or if you put my name, Pages Matam, PAGES MATAM, my stuff will pop up. I have a website, pagesmatam.com. All of these things. Find me. Let's be friends. Send me a message. Cool. Don't send me no BS. Don't be in my inbox with no BS. But if you need help, and if I have the capacity and the tool for it, I got you. Not a problem.
Awesome. It's the Poet Life Podcast. Thank you all for enjoying us. We look forward to seeing you all next episode. We're out.
Always. Peace.
Have a good weekend, man.
Yeah, man. You too, brother. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate this. Yeah, and let me know when it drops, and let's do it.
Will do. All right, man. Have a good weekend.
You too. Peace.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way.